When you pull a crossbow back on Bedrock in first person, you can see part of your hand. On Java, you cannot see any of your hand, which means you don't have hands on Java. In Bedrock, you can place snow underneath flowers, and you can use bone meal on flowers to make them spread. On Java, neither of these things are possible. But what's possible on Java is climbing up a trapdoor ladder, and on Bedrock it appears you can't even place ladders on trapdoors. I've always hated running over soul sand without blocks. There's no reason for it to be this slow. But on Bedrock, if you sprint jump over soul sand, it just isn't slow. And I think this has something to do with the absolutely amazing running animation on Bedrock. Who doesn't run like this in real life? In Bedrock, blocks that emit light glow on your hotbar. In Java, they don't. In Bedrock, when you have view bobbing on, you get to see a lot of bobbing. Java lets you view less bobbing, but there's still bobbing. Shift-clicking blocks in your inventory has an animation on Bedrock. There is no animation for this on Java. In Bedrock, scaffolding looks different in your inventory than it does on Java, and holding an item in Bedrock is slightly angled, but in Java it's perfectly straight. You might be inclined to go for a swim while wearing an elytra, and unfortunately in Bedrock, your elytra will deactivate if you go into water, but on Java it actually remains activated for whatever reason. Now that you're underwater though, you can grow some coral with bone meal, but only in a warm ocean on Java, although this works in every biome on Bedrock. After that, you can steal some aquatic mobs and experiment on them by giving them water breathing. In Bedrock, they will survive on land with water breathing, and on Java, they will do the opposite of that. You might have also bucketed an axolotl while you were in the water, and this is what the name of your axolotl will look like on Java, and this is what the name looks like on Bedrock. They got bro's whole government name, social security number, address. If you prefer setting mobs on fire rather than suffocating them, mobs turn orange and red while on fire in Bedrock, but they only blink red in Java. You can also place a bunch of mobs in a small area in Java to start killing them, but on Bedrock they just won't die. You can create a cannon with mobs on Bedrock though, so they both have their positives and negatives. Similar to the detailed axolotl bucket, switching to an enchanted item on Bedrock will actually show you all the enchantments. On Java, however, you actually have to hover over it in your inventory to see what enchantments they have. In Bedrock, books display 2 pages at a time instead of just 1 on Java edition, and if you write anything offensive in your book on Bedrock, it will become censored. This can also happen on signs, renaming items, pretty much everything where you can type. On Java, you can type freely though. In Java edition, if you cover up your bed with a bunch of blocks, the bed will become obstructed and it will just respawn you at the world's spawn point. But in Bedrock, you can encase your bed in an indestructible vault, and you will still respawn within the area of your bed. If you name a big slime in Java edition and then kill it, the slimes that it splits into will still have the same name. On Bedrock, if you do this, the smaller slimes do not carry over the name. It just becomes forgotten. In Bedrock, animals like horses slowly grow up into an adult, but on Java, the change just happens instantly. You can then ride your horse on Java, and your hunger bar and XP bar get replaced with the horse's health and jump bar, but on Bedrock, the XP bar only gets replaced when you are jumping. Otherwise, you can still see how much XP you have. In Bedrock, hearts move down when you have regeneration, and on Java, for some reason, it's the opposite. Hearts move up. You also can't eat food in peaceful mode when your hunger bar is full on Java, but for some reason you are able to eat as much food as you want in peaceful mode on Bedrock. In Bedrock, having a parrot on your shoulder will prevent you from going through a nether portal, but in Java, the parrot will actually go through to the nether with you. Oh, whoops. Looks like I forgot something in the overworld. If you want to place a torch on top of a honey block, you cannot do this on Java, but it is possible to do this in Bedrock. Useful information for bees. And the new vibrant visuals is actually available on Bedrock, but not on Java. It will be available on Java soon though, but the difference here is that Bedrock seems to get everything first before Java gets it. When you kill a ghast with its own fireball on Bedrock, it will turn orange. You also probably noticed that a ghast's eyes and mouth kind of glow when shooting a fireball on Bedrock, but in Java, it just remains red and boring. Punching a pufferfish in Bedrock makes it puff up, but in Java it does nothing. Punching a pufferfish should really make your hand puff up because of the swelling. It would hurt. In Java, if you fall in the void in creative mode, you die. Bro really died in creative mode. But in Bedrock, if you fall in the void, you can just walk on the void. This is just solid ground. You can also get this warning message for building down here in Bedrock. Java doesn't need to warn you though. It expects you to know this. In Bedrock, dyeing the water in cauldrons is an option, and it's what you use to dye leather armor, instead of crafting dyed leather armor like you do in Java. If you want to dye your Enderman, unfortunately it will just teleport away on Bedrock, but dyeing your Enderman on Java would be possible if you could put dye in cauldrons. But do not worry. worry, cause while Bedrock doesn't allow you to die Endermen, you can die shulkers in Bedrock. Kinda the same concept as giving your dog a tattoo. You can just permanently change the color of a shulker while it's still alive. Also, if you play Bedrock and you really hate shulkers, you can just shove a chest inside of a shulker using a piston. Now you are just using your died shulker as a decoration on top of your chest. Java Edition unfortunately cares about shulkers, and you have to find different ways to harm them instead. You might have noticed I placed a lever on the side of a piston. You can't do this on Java without breaking it off. But Java might have destructible levers, but you can't destroy rails on Java. Not like that. You can't destroy rails with water on Java, but you can on Bedrock. Dogs in Bedrock can eat fish, but dogs on Java hate fish and only eat the finest of cuisine. And you are actually able to damage your vision by looking at the sun in Bedrock. This is why eye tests are available in Bedrock, and you can even get glasses for your player. Now I'm gonna show you some features that are only in Bedrock, but will probably be added to Java soon. In Bedrock, leaves change color when it's snowing. In Bedrock, you can find vines growing randomly on any type of tree. Water has different colors in Bedrock depending on the biome you are in. You can even get red water in the Nether, the most useful thing I've seen so far. And that's it. That's the only things from my list that I can see getting added to Java. In Java Edition, if you blow a mob up that can drop a head with a charged creeper, it will drop the head 100% of the time. But this only works with one mob at a time, but on Bedrock, you can blow up multiple mobs and get all of their heads at once. If you ever wanted to ride a boat through a wall, unfortunately that's not going to happen on Java Edition, but you can place some slabs at the bottom of a wall like this, and then boat through it just fine on Bedrock. In Bedrock, you can give items to armor stands. Originally, I thought you could do this on Java. I was disappointed to find out that you can't. And you can also name an armor stand Dinner Bone to turn it upside down on Bedrock. I'm starting to think Bedrock may actually be better, which is why I will showcase the difference between bridging on Bedrock and Java. This has just never made any sense to me how this is possible on Bedrock. It feels like something out of a Roblox game. In Bedrock, you can ride a skeleton horse without a saddle. You can't even ride a skeleton horse at all on Java. I really thought you could. There is still a Farlands in Bedrock 17 million blocks out. It works a little differently than the Java Farlands that was removed. This one is even more glitchy. Bedrock has a zoom out animation when you die, while on Java you just die. There's no animation. And on Bedrock, a baby villager's head is massive. Baby villagers must be a lot dumber on Java. The wither on Bedrock is actually a lot more powerful than it is on Java. That is because the Bedrock Wither has double the HP, and it glows white when it's spawned. The white doesn't make it any more OP. If you ever wanted to waterboard a phantom, you will be sad to find out that phantoms don't take water damage on Java. But if you play Bedrock, I have good news. Phantoms can actually drown on Bedrock. You can also light yourself on fire in Bedrock, and then use it to light candles and campfires with your body. Java doesn't have this option though. And Java also doesn't have the option to light these things using a fire aspect book like Bedrock does. But something Java does have that Bedrock doesn't is furnace minecarts. Yeah, this item just doesn't exist on Bedrock. If you get a regular minecart on Bedrock and put an iron golem in it, you can see that it works. But on Java, an iron golem is a little too big for a minecart. You also gotta make sure that your iron golem doesn't get trapped inside of the rails, as mobs on Java do not walk over rails. Java really just has superior rails, I guess. These things can block off mobs and restrict water. Bedrock has the superior leads though, as you can attach leads to entities like boats, which isn't a thing on Java. And they also just look super cool compared to the ones on Java. Leads can also be attached to walls on Bedrock, but this only works on fences in Java. And you may also notice that the wall item itself looks different on Bedrock than it does on Java. This is because... well, I don't know why it's like this actually. You can also look at iron bars on Bedrock and notice that they are a lot more symmetrical than they are on Java. And bubble columns look completely different between the two editions as well. I'm gonna say that Java wins this one. The bubble column looks way more natural. In Java, if you spawn a wandering trader spawns. But in Bedrock, if you spawn a wandering trader, it comes with 2 llamas at no extra cost. Bedrock always has the best deals. You can place a candle on top of melons and pumpkins to give them a stem, or you can use a sea pickle depending on how big you want it to be. You can also make a pineapple by putting this vine thing on top of a shroom light like this, and if you want to build a cake, you can place a piece of dirt and put some snow on top, and then you can add redstone on the top as a strawberry. This cake probably tastes really bad though, it's made out of dirt. Apparently fish barrels are real, and you can make a salmon barrel with a raw copper block and some trapdoors on the side. Or you can change it out for a raw iron block if you want to make a cod barrel instead. Another type of barrel is a honey barrel, and this time I'm actually actually not sure what that is. I've never heard of a honey barrel before. If you want to make your dinner table look more realistic, you can place a pressure plate on top of an item frame and place some food in it to look like a plate like this. And you can even add some condiments on the table and place some sea pickles on the side, which kind of look like cups. So much detail just for you to eat all the food in 2 seconds. If you have a dog, you can build a small doghouse by placing 5 trapdoors like this with a couple more trapdoors on the top. And you can even place a dog bowl on the side to give him something to drink. Another dog bowl you can do is this design using a decorated pot, and pairing them together looks like both food and drink. If you don't have a dog, you might have a cat, and there's also a cool cat structure you can build. First, place a scaffolding and trapdoors like this, add some fences on the back, and then place a couple carpets on top, and then you have a nice place for your cat to live. You might also have a parrot, in which you can also give a house. Well, sort of. In order to do this build, you have to push a piece of glass over top of the parrot, which is probably seen as animal cruelty. So something you can do that is less cruel is this bird bath, which uses a waterlogged slab and some signs on the side. Or you can place a hanging sign like this as a parrot perch. You are also able to use a bell if you don't think the hanging sign looks good enough. And you can also build a cage, which is slightly less evil, and it's built using fences like this, a slab and a trapdoor on top, and a chain and scaffolding attached underneath. This build also exceeds the build size limit for this video, but I'm just gonna let it slide because it looks pretty cool. The last build in the pets category is this snail, which I'm not really sure if it counts as a pet. Snails are also really slow, so the fact that it doesn't move might actually not matter. Something that for some reason isn't in Minecraft is balloons, but with a colored block, a fence, and a little animal cruelty, it is actually possible to have balloons in Minecraft. Another thing that is also not in Minecraft is hot springs, but that can be changed by placing some trapdoors and some campfires underneath a pool of water. You can also do the same technique by placing campfires under lava to get some smoky lava, and this time you don't even need the trapdoors. I would be careful when swimming in this one though, because it might be a little too hot. If you're tired of how the regular TNT looks, or just scared of building with it in case something like this happens, then you can actually place a barrel like this and put some signs on the side that say TNT to make an old looking block of TNT. You can even highlight the signs in white to make the text stand out and add a candle on top to look like a fuse. If you aren't afraid of using TNT to build, you can also place a bunch of TNT like this and then put some candles on top, and they will kind of look like individual dynamite sticks. You can even light them if you want, but just be careful you don't accidentally misclick. If you do set off the TNT by accident, it might be possible you need to build a grave, and luckily you can do that with 3 puzzle blocks like this, an anvil, a skull of your choice, and a couple of flowers, and then you have a tiny gravestone for whoever died as a result of your TNT accident. Another random build hack is this super thin ladder, which is just a ladder placed on trapdoors, and something really cool you can do is place trapdoors alternating like this with ladders on each of them, and you can make a 1-block spaced working ladder. These tiki torches, which you can make using bamboo fences, and if you want to add some extra detail, you can attach a mob with a lead to the top, but obviously you will have to. You can also make one of those bulrush things that are found in swamps, and if you want to make corn, you can place a bamboo fence on top of 2 bamboo sticks instead. You can also place some bamboo fences alongside some real bamboo to make it look like dead bamboo, and you can even take it a step further with some oak fences which look extra dead. If you want to sell some bamboo on the black market, you can place some signs around the bamboo blocks and it will look like it's packaged up, or you can also stack a bunch of bamboo rafts to make a pile of bamboo. Another cool thing you can do with bamboo is place an item frame underneath a bamboo button to make a block of cheese, but this is probably some pretty moldy cheese. There are a lot of things you can make with a decorated pot, such as this pillar design, this tiny lamp, or this palm tree, which you can even mix with some of the different designs to look like carvings in the wood. But something really cool you can do with these pots is if you place one of these in the ground and then you put a carpet on top of it, it kind of looks like a pet bowl for your dog or your cat or your person. You can also place a pot underneath a moss carpet, and depending on what's around you, it can either look like an anthill or a landmine. If you place these pots with a bunch of gold, they kind of look like money bags, and if you place them with some TNT and then light a candle on top of it, it kind of looks like a bomb that's about to explode. Speaking of bombs, you can also hang one of these pots from a chain and then put a campfire under it like this, and it kind of looks like a cooking pot. You can also build a faucet type thing coming out of the ground and then place a glass pane in a pot underneath it to make it look like it's being filled up with water. Another cool thing you can do is place some pots in a palm tree and they will look like coconuts, and you can place place a pot as a base for a streetlight like this, or you can even place it at the bottom of some bushes, which looks slightly better than a cauldron. You can also place a couple of these pots on top of a house, and if you combine this with some cobwebs, it actually looks like a chimney. But one of the most interesting uses for these pots is to make a punching bag that you are actually able to use in game. Okay, you can't really use it, but you also can't tell me I'm not punching it. Now obviously those hacks are cool, but it's time to show you some of the most illegal build hacks known to man. If you apply this armor trim to a leather helmet and then place it 1 block deep on an armor stand, you can use a piston to push a bookshelf through it, and it kind of looks like a stray book sitting on top of the shelf. Another thing you can do is dig out a big hole and then fill the whole thing with string, and after that you can do a little bit of animal cruelty and cover the whole thing up with carpets to get this rug design. Huh, that's weird. It looks like my rug is moving. Something else you can do with the sniffer is you can place some blocks through a sniffer's nose and then add a slab and some signs on the side to get a really interesting cushion design. Or if you're really ballin', you can use a sniffer's snout as a base to make a golden sink. Another thing you can do with a sniffer's nose is you can place it in the roof and then put a couple of fences and an end rod underneath it to make a lamp. Okay, this one was kind of a stretch. You can still see his face. Something you can do with a camel is you can place its head through a roof and it kind of looks like one of those bear heads you see on a wall in some rich guy's house. And you can also spawn a camel on the ground and then place some sand over top of its head to make it kind of look like a little sand dune coming out of the ground. You can even place a saddle on top of the camel to make it so you can sit down on the beach with a towel beneath you. Now those were definitely some illegal build hacks, but they still aren't the best build hacks in this video. This is a pumpkin, this is a melon, and this is an eggplant. Okay, it's not actually an eggplant, it's cherry wood with a sea pickle on top, but it actually looks pretty close. Another melon trick you can do is place bamboo planks with glow lichen beside a pumpkin, and it kind of looks like a dead pumpkin. Also, if you place a bamboo block in a field of melons, it kind of looks like some kind of squash. Everyone has seen these trapdoors being used as a fence, but you can actually use a hanging sign to make a pretty cool fence as well. Speaking of hanging signs, you can do some really cool things with them, such as this one-way door, which works by hanging a sign from the top and then hanging another sign underneath it. You can also make a little doggy door on the side of your house like this, or you can place it in front of your brand new cherry wood doghouse as well. Staying on the topic of farming, you can place 2 fences in the air like this, and if you place a hanging sign underneath it, it will look like a shovel that is sticking out of the dirt. You can also replace these fences with lightning rods or end rods to make different types of handles as well. If you want to make a table, you can place some hanging signs like this to make table feet, and you can even make the table legs a bit longer if you like things that are longer. Hanging signs can also be used to make a broken jungle bridge or a useless ladder, depending on how you see it. And you can place them in a pattern like this to look like a gate that is restricting your access to something. Something I bet you've never seen is a stoplight in Minecraft. Okay, you've probably seen one, I just didn't know what to say, but by placing a red sign, an oak sign, and a blue sign like this, it can kind of look like a stoplight even though 2 of the colors are wrong. Another thing you can do with the different sign colors is hang them over top of a campfire like this to make different stages of meat cooking. But probably the most interesting hanging sign hack is this parrot perch design. I'm just kidding, it's actually a working swing which can be made using 2 chains like this, a hanging sign on each side, a trapdoor on the bottom middle, and then a boat as a seat. And after you do that, you have a working swing. Well, you can't really swing on it, but I mean I'm sitting on it, so it kinda works. You can also make another swing by doing the same thing as before, except instead of placing 1 trapdoor, you place 3 on the bottom and then 3 on the back to get another really cool swing design. This time you aren't able to sit on it. If you're trying to be some type of supervillain, all you have to do is place some redstone behind one of the chiseled bookshelves, and then you can attach a couple regular bookshelves to some sticky pistons to make a secret door inside of your library. Something else you can do with chiseled bookshelves is build a cool floor design like this, and you can even make the bookshelf look like eyes when you put a slab in front of it. If you place the bookshelf with a stone slab in a cave, it kinda looks like something is staring at you through a crack in the wall, but that isn't the coolest thing you can do with the chiseled bookshelf. If you place a bunch of bookshelves beside each other, you can actually build things using the books inside of the bookshelves. I guess suspicious sand isn't the only thing that's sus in this update. Minecraft 1.20 adds a piglin head, and what can you do with it? Well, to start, you can place it on top of an armor stand, but that's boring. Instead, if you want a piglin in the overworld, you can place a piglin head on top of a sign, and it will kind of look like a tiny piglin. And if you really want to be him, you can make a hanging sign float, attach 2 signs on the side, and then add a banner on the back and a piglin head on top to create the boss piglin. His outfit kind of looks like Lord Farquaad. If you want to build some tiny birds, you probably wouldn't think of using a piglin head, but because of the floppy ears, it actually kinda looks like birds in the sky. Of course, you have to make sure not to look at the other side though. If you place a piglin head on the ground and then put a bunch of redstone around it, it looks like a piglin was just decapitated. And if you take it a step further, you can build up with some fences and place some chains and hang a red sign under it to make it look like a guillotine just chopped off its head. Have you ever wanted to build a giant snail? You probably haven't. But you can by placing a cherry slab, a sideways cherry log, and a nether brick wall with a couple of candles on the top. Now we have giant snails to go with our giant spiders. Another giant animal you can build with cherry wood is a pig. If you place two upside down stairs like this and add some slabs on the top, you get a pig. You can then add a button on each side for eyes and a cherry button for a nose and a tail for extra detail. Speaking of pigs, you can also make pork with cherry wood. If you place a sideways cherry log and then attach it to two fences using chains, it kinda looks like a piece of ham is being cooked over a fire. Another cool cherry wood build is this garden fence, which can be made using an illegal trapdoor technique that I didn't even know existed. You can even climb this thing if you try hard enough, so that's cool. Another thing you can put in your garden is a cherry tree, but not that one is lame. If you use cherry fences as logs and pair it with azalea leaves, you can make a really cool looking miniature tree. Something else that looks cool is this trapdoor window, which you can make using bamboo or cherry wood trapdoors depending on your build. In Minecraft 1.20, a pink boat will be added, but if you think this design is boring, you can actually make your own pink boat instead. If you place some slabs in the water like this and then add a fence in the middle, you can move two boats as close to the fence as possible and then add some trapdoors on the side and a flag on the top to make a better looking boat. The only problem is this boat doesn't really move. If you place a netherite upgrade in an item frame, you can use it as an up or down arrow for like an elevator or something, I don't really know. This single warden who really wants to kill me but he can't, so he does this, which is cool and all, but it isn't satisfying. So what will happen if I spawn 100 wardens and have them do the same thing? Oh my god, I'm pretty sure I went so high that it bounced me. And sure, that was satisfying, but not as satisfying as cutting down bamboo in this bamboo-only world, which I actually can't stop doing. And what's even more insane is watching this from above, just like covering the entire world in Skulk, which you can do with the help of a couple million Ravagers and a Skulk Catalyst. And now we wait as the entire world turns into Skulk. Wait, I wonder what would happen if I added even more of these. Okay, I think I broke it. There's a literal Ravager fountain coming from the sky. Oh my god. This is a chest full of random materials, which if placed a bunch of times like this, you can break all the chests and watch all the items fall out, which looks pretty nice. But the best part of this isn't the items falling, it's picking them up, which sounds super satisfying. I could literally do this for hours. Something else you can do is place a bunch of shulkers full of netherite above a lava pool, and then when you break them, this happens. And if you use a command block to place an infinite block like this, and then you use another command block to give yourself a 1 durability pickaxe every tick, you can infinitely break pickaxes, which makes this very satisfying sound. Uh-oh, I think I'm sick. I'm throwing up pickaxes. This is working quicksand in Minecraft, which can be made using this secret formula. First, you place some soul sand on the bottom, then you place some water above, and then you place some cobwebs on top of all that, and after that, you need to just place some sand on top that's ready to be dropped in. And now you can drop the sand and watch it all fall into place, which is pretty satisfying. After that, you have a working quicksand that you can't escape. But that's not the most satisfying part. If you remove the cobwebs like this, and then drop some more sand on the top, you can make this really cool bubbling effect, which looks like it doesn't even belong in the game. This effect can also be used in a square like this, which looks pretty nice, especially when all the sand and gravel breaks at the end. Or you can drop a line of sand and gravel like this, which kind of looks like a worm when it first drops. Another thing I found that looks pretty cool is this concrete powder turning to concrete like this, and I also tried it in a line, which looks pretty nice as well. This is a village that has a massive amount of dripstone above it, which is already kind of cool to look at, and I'm going to be dropping the dripstone on the village using this machine here. Oh my god, I think my PC is going to explode. Hopefully it looks good on replay, because I literally can't see anything. Okay, somehow we actually had a couple of survivors this time, but I'm going to add a layer of anvils, sand, and gravel to drop on the village as well. And now let's spawn Timothy. Hopefully he survives. Okay, first let's drop the anvils. That was much less laggy. Now let's add some sand. It's looking like Bikini Bottom down there. And finally the gravel. Okay, there's no way Timothy survived all that. Oh wait, he's actually right here. Honestly, doing that had me feeling like I was 9 years old again, so let's try some things we all did as kids in Minecraft. First, I'm going to be burning down a forest. Okay, this is taking forever. I guess I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Now that's some good forest burning. What about blowing up a ton of TNT? I think this was a mistake. If you make a box like this, and then place a repeating command block to spawn zombies, you can make an infinitely dying zombie. That's not what I meant to do. What you can actually do is spawn a bunch of zombies inside of the box, and then you can kill them all with a sweeping edge 100 sword, and it's honestly pretty satisfying. I wonder what happens if we make the box even bigger. Okay, that was so much better. Another satisfying way to kill a bunch of mobs is with a piercing crossbow. But this crossbow isn't gonna cut it. It only killed 4 of them. We need a max piercing crossbow. Alright, and let's kill the villagers in 3, 2, 1... Okay, it didn't reach the end, but we'll just pretend it did. What happens if you break these plants that go up to sky limit? It's literally raining twisted vines. Now let's do the cactus. Okay, that one actually looked kind of nice. What about the sugar cane? Whatever this thing is. And finally, bamboo. Bamboo definitely has my favorite sound out of these. But something that might sound better is a massive dripstone hitting the ground. Okay, let's just use this genius redstone timer to make sure we don't miss the sound. And now we fall all the way to the bottom. I like how it just gets faster the more that fall. Apparently if you place a bunch of end crystals inside of each other, it looks really satisfying. But it doesn't seem to be working for me, so I guess we have to use a command block. I think we placed them on the wrong block, but it's definitely working. This thing actually looks so cool. I can't believe this is in Minecraft. Wait, I wonder what happens if we touch it. For this next one, let's build a giant cactus farm. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just watching them pop up all over the place is really satisfying. Another satisfying thing we can do is place skulk sensors in a row like this, and then we can fill all the empty slots up with TNT. And now finally, if we drop an item on it, it makes this really cool pulsing effect. Oh yeah, I forgot it would all blow up. For this next experiment, we are going to need a massive pyramid, so let's build that. Okay, that literally took me almost 30 minutes and I didn't even finish it. But now what we can do is place water in the middle and watch it all flow down the pyramid. Was that worth the 30-minute wait? Probably not. We can also drain all the water as well, but it's definitely not as satisfying as watching it flow down the pyramid. Earlier, we dropped a bunch of anvils on a village, but I wonder what it would look like if we dropped it on a regular world. Okay, it kinda just started. I didn't mean for that to happen. But yeah, that was still pretty cool. Now let's take a break from experiments and check out some of the most satisfying maps in Minecraft. These are 7 colored rings made by Bosca Winks, and when you fly through them one after another, it's actually really cool to look at. Just like this massive spiral made by Amy Oak, which looks especially cool if you fly through it with an elytra like this. This is an island in the shape of a Mobius strip that was also made by Amy Oak, which I honestly have no idea how it works, but it's definitely really satisfying to look at. And another thing that I don't understand is this Penrose triangle made by Aliscata, which also looks really cool from far away. Wait, I wonder what will happen if I turn it to sand. These next 3 builds were made by Adamax EP, and these are more like illusions, but they are still really satisfying to look at, especially this one, which will probably make you dizzy if you spin fast enough. If you put a Jeb name tag on a sheep, it makes it rainbow, so I wonder what will happen if I make a big pit and fill it with Jeb sheep. This is pretty normal. I see this every day in survival. Okay, now this is insane. You can barely even tell that there are sheep in the hole. Next, let's create a sand-only world and see what happens. Oh wait, I have to break the block first. There's a short amount of time before it becomes way too laggy. So now let's make it laggier with concrete. This would probably look so cool if it wasn't a slideshow. Next, I decided to make a sapling-only world, and watching them grow was actually really satisfying. I can't move on until all the holes are filled. Another experiment similar to this idea is making a drip leaf-only world. I honestly had no idea what would happen with this one, but it's probably one of my favorites so far. And the last world I made was a cactus-only world, but it didn't really go well, so we'll just move on. If you place 2 slabs like this, and then you push them together with a piston, you can make an illegal slab. So I wonder what it would look like if we copied the build a bunch of times to make a wall of illegal slabs. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is satisfying, but it's definitely pretty cool, and also really laggy. Picking up a ton of XP can also be pretty satisfying. Okay, it just won't stop. It's been doing this for like 5 minutes. And for the last experiment, I decided to put some bees in a nest. A lot of bees. Okay, if we set it to day, they should all come out at the same time. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't even know if that that was satisfying. It's kind of unsettling actually. This is chiseled copper, and because of this cool X design on the sides of the block, it actually makes a really nice crate if placed with some other crate looking things. And if you place these blocks in a 2x2 like this, and then place signs all around the sides, you can make an even bigger and better looking crate. You can also mix in some of the brand new copper trapdoors on the side of the crates, and you can even change the middle block to make some empty looking crates. Or we can just remove the block in the middle completely and we get a cool little animal house. I promise I'm gonna let him out, guys. If you want to make a more humane pet house, you can place some trapdoors like this, add some carpets on the bottom, and then put the new heavy core in the front, which kind of looks like a food bowl. And if you want some more food for your pet, you can place a chiseled copper like this and put a sea pickle on the top, and it kind of looks like a melon or something. We should probably just stick to the actual melon though. I don't know if I cooked with this one. You can place some copper trapdoors on top of campfires like this to make a cool looking stove, and now we can cook the melon if we want. And if you want to make a chair to sit down and have a meal, here's one chair design using the new trapdoors, and here is another. This chair is a little bit goofy. In real life, it would be like 3 meters tall. Another new block coming in 1.21 is the crafter, which surprisingly has a lot of different building use. To start, you can make a stove by placing the crafter on top of some campfires, and then adding a few more kitchen details like this. And you can also use a crafter as cabinets if you place it facing this way instead. Who knew the crafter was the ultimate kitchen block? The bottom of the crafter can also be used as a roof, so I guess that makes it the third time it's used in this kitchen. And if you place it on the ground, it kind of looks like some kind of mat that is meant to keep the floor clean. Might as well just build the whole house out of crafters at this point. More household items that can be built with a crafter is this PC where the crafter is used as a monitor, or you can go all out and build a flat screen TV using 2 different angles of the crafter like this. Don't mind me, just sitting on my crafter couch watching my crafter TV. You can also place a crafter like this and then put a few seats around it to create an actual functioning game of tic-tac-toe. Okay, how am I losing to myself? And if you want to protect your house from intruders, you can use the crafter as a keypad like this. If you place a tough wall with a trapdoor on each side, and then add a crafter on top, and place a few more details like this, you can make a telephone booth looking thing like this. And if you look at this side of the crafter, it kind of looks like a face, which means you're actually able to build the crafter man like this. Now I know why we installed the security on the first door. This guy is not messing around. Coming up next, we have a few build hacks that are pretty tough. Tough bricks look kinda like stone bricks, so you can mix them together to make a nice looking pattern. Just like how chiseled tough and polished tough go together nicely if you place them on the floor. You can also use the top of chiseled tough bricks to make a really satisfying floor design like this. This is so cool, it almost looks like it's 3D. And if you take the side of regular chiseled tough and place it in a cave, it kinda looks like old transcriptions on the wall. This doesn't really work the same with chiseled tough bricks though, it kinda looks out of place. These brand new chiseled tough blocks can be used to make really nice looking pillars because of their unique designs, and if you want to make a fence out of tough walls, it actually looks really nice mixing them all together. You can even put one more block up on some parts like this, and then place a heavy core on top, and it kind of looks like a light that isn't on. If you pair the new tough walls with a few iron blocks like this, it looks like some kind of power station thing that would probably look good on top of a building or something. And I also found this robot guy you can make, which uses all the new blocks in the build, including the heavy cores for the eyes. I don't know why, but it kind of looks more like a frog than a robot. Speaking of heavy cores, the heavy core is actually a really useful block for builds. Well, it probably is for someone who actually knows how to build. But still, you can place it on top of a table like this, and it kind of looks like a mug or a thermos. And as we saw earlier, if you place it in an item frame, it kind of looks like eyes, which is especially scary if you just place it around a dark cave like this. I'd say I sure hope no one's watching me, but this is a video, so I hope you are. A mace is made from a heavy core, and it kind of looks like a utensil when it's placed on the table from earlier. And if you want to use the heavy cores as eyes without an item frame, I accidentally built this crab out of tough. You can also build this crab out of copper if you prefer your crabs to be cooked before you put eyes on them. Remember what we could have had instead of the armadillo. Now obviously our crab is pretty cursed, but there are some even more insane build hacks coming later in this video. But first we have these copper trees, which are just oak trees except the leaves are replaced with copper grates. And if you really want to 1.21ify this, you can replace the logs with a tough block block of your choice to really make this look like a 100% real tree. You can also place a bunch of water beside your tree like this, and you can even make one of these water lilies with a copper trapdoor and a coral fan on top. Why is this thing called a brain coral fan? What is Minecraft hiding from us? Whatever they're hiding is probably in these pipes, which you can make out of copper trapdoors like this, and if you want to just make a bridge out of copper trapdoors, you can do that. Not really sure if this is a build hack though, it's just a bridge. Copper grates are really useful, as since they are see-through, you can use them to make windows like this. Guys, I swear I'm not in prison. And if you want to use them for something that looks less like you committed a crime, you can make some fences by mixing them with other copper blocks as well. You can also just switch the grates out for a trapdoor for a different window design, and this also works with the fences, although it looks a lot easier for trespassers to climb them now. The copper bulb is a new block that emits light, and you know what that means? Lamps. You can make this simple lamp design using either oxidized or normal copper plus some similar colored fences like this, or if you want to be fancier, you can place some copper blocks as a base like this, put a tough wall above it here, and then add some fences on top of the wall, and finally a slab, a trapdoor, and a bulb like this. Now this is a better looking lamp than the first one. But if you want to be even fancier, you can make a double lamp like this, and honestly I think this one is a little bit too overkill. I mean, why do we even need a third lantern in the middle? And with these lamps, you're probably going to want to add a road underneath them so that they have something to actually light up. And if you want to add a sewer entrance, you can move two of the stairs so that they are facing like this, and then add some copper grates underneath to look like a cool sewer entrance. Just make sure that you don't accidentally drop your phone in it. Now it's almost time for some cursed build hacks. But first we have this copper gear which can be made using some of the new copper blocks, and if this gear is too much for you, you can shrink it down a bit like this if we remove the trapdoors. You can also place a copper block on the roof of a cave, and then place a wall and a fence underneath to make an artificial dripstone like this, and this actually comes in both colors as you can see, although the oxidized one looks more like an icicle than a dripstone. Another thing you can hang on the roof is a copper bulb like this to make another type of lamp, and if you want to build a copper staircase, you can now add some copper grates underneath the stairs and also put some copper trapdoors on the sides for more detail. If you want to add some scary windows to your house, you can use the new trial spawners as an ominous window design like this, and this can also be used as a fence design if you have some kind of haunted mansion or something. A trial spawner can also be used as a bird cage if you right click on it with a parrot spawn egg so it traps the bird inside. Of course this is except for the fire and the spinning and the fact that it spawns parrots. Okay, that one was kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. An ominous key can kind of look like a painting of a tree if you place it in an item frame on the wall of your house. And another thing that can go in an item frame is a breeze rod paired with a blaze rod, which is meant to look like the hot and cold on a water tap. Something that's less of a build hack and more of a cool trick is this wind charge launcher, which you can make by angling 4 dispensers full of wind charges towards you. Okay, I don't know how it turned infinite, but I'm not complaining. It's kind of like a trampoline now. If you place some copper bulbs like this and then put some tuff in the middle, you can create a portal to the secret copper dimension. And now it's time to show you some absolutely cursed build hacks that should not be used ever, mainly because they're really stupid. First off, if you throw a wind charge and then use the new /tick freeze command, you can make a really cool smoke effect that you can use in your builds, although now the entire rest of the game is frozen, so this might not be that useful. You can also trap a bogged in some sand like this, and it will make it look like someone died while traveling the desert. When an armadillo rolls up into a ball, you can use this opportunity to use the armadillo as a soccer ball that you can even play with using a knockback sword like this. And a rolled up armadillo can also look like some boxes on the ground or on some shelves depending on where you place it. Just like earlier, if you put a bogged in some powdered snow, it will look like somebody died while traveling in the snow. The only problem with this one is that the bogged actually does die in the snow eventually. And finally, if you spawn a breeze in some water, it kinda looks like a jellyfish. Okay, yeah, that's enough cursed build hacks. That one was insanely stupid. This is a street drain that is built using the new copper grates as well as some tough blocks, and it's a shame that you can't waterlog the copper grates, as this would actually be really cool. And if you just place a copper bulb in the sky like this and add a lever underneath, it can look like one of those floating lanterns that are for Chinese New Year, I think. I'm probably wrong about that, don't get mad at me. You can also switch the copper bulb out for one of these frog lights like this, and then you can place either oxidized trapdoors or regular copper trapdoors on the outside for another one of these lamp designs as well. And now with these trapdoors, you can also use them as a curtain thing on the side of your windows instead of using them as windows like we did earlier. And if you want to make another lamp, like we haven't made enough already, we can place some of the new tough blocks like this and then put a copper bulb with copper trapdoors around it like this, and another weird lamp design I've seen is this copper bulb on top of a dragon egg with some buttons on it so you can actually turn it on and off. And somehow I forgot the fact that these new trapdoors can be used as railings on the side of like a factory upper level, and you can also place some copper grates to make a nice floor to go with the trapdoor railings as well. And we can finally make a power station using some of the blocks like this to complete our factory. For these next build hacks, I decided to go find them in the new structure, the trial chambers. And the first one is just using these copper grates as like an entry to a tunnel type of thing. You could also use these copper grates as like support beams on the roof, similar to how they are used in the structure here. And there are some really cool mixes of tough blocks used in the wall design of this structure, which isn't really a build hack, but it's still pretty useful to know. I also found out that you can actually waterlog these grates, which makes the street drain from earlier look a lot better now that I know this. And you can also build the face of a breeze like this if you ever wanted to do this, although I'm not really sure why you would. This combo of blocks looks pretty cool in the middle of a fountain, and you can use these trapdoors to make little hidden tunnels inside of your builds as well. The end of this tunnel looks pretty cool, especially with the X in the middle. It kind of looks like one of those things you have to turn to open a vault door, and probably my favorite Mojang approved build that I found is this secret room in the trial chambers, which isn't a build hack, but I just thought it was cool that I found a secret room. There's also another secret room. This is so cool. And that concludes the trial chambers build hacks. I'm honestly surprised I even found any. Everybody knows that leather armor is the most useless armor in the game, but did you know that leather armor isn't even leather armor? In the early versions of Minecraft, leather hadn't been added to the game yet, so players would instead have to craft this armor using wool blocks that you obtained by punching sheep and turning them bald. This armor was eventually replaced with leather armor, but the texture remained the same, meaning the armor you wear today might not be what you think. Speaking of weird armor things, did you know that Minecraft's old armor system actually worked a lot differently? To start off, armor used to absorb all types of damage, including fall damage, meaning you could jump off of a massive mountain and survive wearing full leather armor. But you also might have noticed that I have 10 armor bars wearing leather armor. How is that possible? Well, prior to beta 1.6, all armor actually provided the same amount of protection, and the amount of armor bars you had was actually reflected by the amount of durability left on your armor. This meant that the only actual difference between leather and diamond armor was how fast it breaks, which in Minecraft Alpha was pretty fast. When thinking of the most iconic Minecraft item, you probably think of diamonds, but what if I told you that diamonds weren't even diamonds when they were first added to Minecraft? When Notch first added diamonds to Minecraft, he decided it would be a good idea to refer to them as emeralds instead of diamonds. Maybe this is why villagers have been after them this whole time. In the early versions of Minecraft, creepers never used to explode. Well, kinda. In the in-dev stages of the game, creepers existed as a hostile mob, but they would just melee attack you instead of explode. Don't let this fool you though, as for some reason they still exploded upon killing them. In Minecraft there are many structures, such as villages, shipwrecks, and even woodland mansions. But there is actually a structure that came before all of these, a structure that no longer exists today. When creating a world in the in-dev versions of Minecraft, you would spawn inside of a starter house that was located in the center of the world. The starter house was made up of wooden planks and stone like this, but in older versions it was just a big mossy cobblestone house. The house was filled to the brim with a bunch of chests, and each chest contained a stack of every item in the game. This seems pretty OP, and we can see why it doesn't exist today. Speaking of structures, when you think of villages, you usually think of villagers. The iconic Minecraft mob, which you can kidnap, take advantage of its self-scamming trades, and even enslave it to create a civilization. But did you know that when villages were first added to the game, there were actually no villagers to go with them? Just an eerie ghost town in the middle of nowhere. You've probably milked a cow in Minecraft before, maybe even a mushroom cow if you were looking for some soup. But I bet you've never milked a squid before, and that's because you were only able to milk squids for a short amount of time in beta 1.2 before Mojang later removed this feature. Why could you milk a squid in the first place? That I have no idea. One of the most cursed things in Minecraft is placing water in the nether, which is made completely impossible by having it instantly evaporate upon being placed. This wasn't always the case though, because in earlier versions of Minecraft you could actually place ice in the nether, and then when it melted it would cause water to flow out like normal. You better keep this information out of the hands of the wrong people though, or you might end up with an ocean in the nether. Minecraft's blocks have seen major updates over the years, but there are some things about these blocks that used to be completely different. To start, chests used to take up an entire block, causing you to actually be able to use them as a building block, and it didn't look that bad. Furnaces used to have a stone layer on top instead of the cobblestone that we see today, and climbing ladders used to require only one ladder every 2 blocks blocks instead of a straight line. But did you know that a secret slab used to exist in the game? In the really early versions of Minecraft, Notch added the dirt slab to the game, which was supposed to help make the mountains look more natural. But as you can see, it didn't really work. Most people think that crying obsidian was added in the Nether update, but crying obsidian was actually seen in the game's files all the way back in beta 1.3. But instead of looking like this, it looked like this. I can see where the crying in the name comes from now. In beta 1.4, locked chests were added all around the map as an April Fool's update. Upon clicking on these chests, you would just be given a prompt telling you that you need to buy a Steve Co. supply crate key to open the chest, which was obviously a joke. These chests would end up getting removed from the world generation in the next update. I guess we'll never know what was really inside of these chests. Do you think Minecraft brewing is confusing now? Well, it's nothing compared to Minecraft's original brewing system. In beta 1.9 pre-release 2, cauldrons were added to the game and their original use was to brew potions. All you had to do was click a water-filled cauldron with a potion ingredient, and then you could retrieve the potion using a glass bottle. Seems pretty easy, right? That is, until I tell you there were 30 different potions in the game, all with confusing names. That brewing system was crazy, but not as crazy as time travel being added to Minecraft. In the beta 1.8 pre-release, Mojang added the ability to build a time machine in survival Minecraft. Well, you don't actually need a time machine, you just need to press F6 to go back in time and F7 to go forwards in time. I wonder if Minecraft will ever have a 4D version in the future. In Snapshot 15W14A, another April Fool's update, attacking mobs is completely disabled and the only way to progress is by left-clicking mobs to increase your hearts, which was also known as the love meter. This update added a bunch of mobs that were never seen again, such as the love golem, the pink wither, and even the smiling creeper, which upon exploding actually gives you flowers instead of killing you. None of this was as weird as the way you beat this update though, which is by gaining a certain amount of hearts and then completing a Minecraft-themed game of Minesweeper. I think from now on I'll just stick to playing regular Minecraft. Regular Minecraft isn't always so regular though, as the original method of respawning the Ender Dragon was added in Snapshot 15W31A. In this snapshot, you could respawn the Ender Dragon simply by building a creeper's face out of clay inside of the end. And no, I'm literally not joking, this one is real. Also in beta 1.9 pre-release 3, you could locate the stronghold based on these massive glass pillars that came out of the ground, and upon entering the portal room, you might notice something a little different about the end portal. That end portal was not nearly as different as the original Endermen though. When Endermen were first added to the game, they actually had green eyes, and upon attacking them, they would make zombie sounds instead of the sound that they make today. To make things even worse, instead of mining for diamonds, originally you could just farm Endermen to make your diamond tools instead. This is completely overpowered as long as you don't run into the white Enderman. This is a fishing rod, and this is a fishing rod being used in PvP, but did you know that when Minecraft first added the fishing rod, it actually looked like this and was completely useless? The only thing that you could do with it was stack as many of them on top of each other as you wanted. Crazy to see how far this game has come. Food in Minecraft used to be a lot different, as there was no hunger bar, meaning food would be used to instantly heal your hearts instead. When eating food, you didn't even have to wait for the animation to finish, as there was no animation. The food just instantly disappeared like you were Matt Stoney. The one downside to this though was that the food was not stackable. This meant that in order to stay alive while caving, you had to fill half your inventory up with food, allowing you to only have a little bit of space left for collecting ores. This made everything so much slower, especially because you can't sprint in these versions. You might have heard of the Aether mod, which is probably one of Minecraft's most famous mods, but did you know that Notch almost made this mod a reality? In beta 1.6, a sky dimension was added to the game and could be accessed using mods. Notch said that this dimension could have been a dream world where the player would have a random chance of being teleported to while sleeping in the game. Unfortunately, this dimension was never added to Minecraft, and instead this concept was later turned into the end. Speaking of sleeping in Minecraft used to be really annoying. In older versions of Minecraft, when trying to sleep in an area that was accessible by mobs, the game would wake you up every time a hostile mob was standing near you, even if you were separated by a wall. This made sleeping basically impossible unless you had a nuclear fallout shelter to sleep in. We've talked about some of the things added for April Fool's updates already in this video, but one of the most interesting April Fool's updates was 1.rv-pre1. Kind of a weird update name in itself. In this update, a few items were added, such as the ankle monitor, 3D glasses, and even a smartwatch. They even added a USB charging block, which could be used in the exact same way that a redstone block is used today. Now, obviously all of these items were added as a joke, but it would be kind of funny to put somebody on house arrest in your Minecraft world. There is is a new title screen. This happens every time there is an update. There is dripstone that shouldn't be there though. How did it get here? There's a secret dried ghast as well. What is a dried ghast? That's my best attempt at yelling. A dried ghast is a secret block found near the ancient remnants of happy ghasts, which got lost in the nether. It is very rare as these remnants aren't seen very frequently. And you can also just craft it. With this recipe, put it down, add some water, and in about 20 minutes, you have a bunch of foam dinosaurs. You actually just have a ghastling, which is cool, because the ghastling can grow up if you feed it snowballs into a full-on happy ghast. Give the happy ghast a harness. This is how you craft a harness. And then you can fly the happy ghast all the way to the moon. I'm sure you've seen the happy ghast a million times, but I bet you didn't know that they added this fog, which really just bothers me. Like, it's kind of annoying to look at. It's just like, not really foggy. It's kinda hazy. And definitely don't let me see what it looks like when it's raining. Other news about the sky. If you aren't like me and you play with clouds on, there is a new setting to change the cloud distance in video settings. This looks kinda cool, but I think it's a little bit too far personally. And this looks horrible. This is like balding and not shaving the last hair off. But you can also teleport yourself to these coordinates when you first make a world in Java Edition, and absolutely nothing is different with the clouds. I just wanted to show another angle. Whatever happened to vibrant visuals? I ask as I open up Minecraft Java Edition. It's not available on Java yet, so I'm venturing into Bedrock mode to do a vibrant visuals review. Welcome to Minecraft Vibrant Visuals. Why does it dox my whole PC in the top of the screen? Honestly, this looks really cool. The water, it's very visible through the water. There are a couple of places I want to go in Vibrant Visuals. How are cheats not enabled in creative? The desert is supposed to be really yellow. Yeah, this is super yellow. It's like that. Dude, what is this? Why does it feel so bright? I literally can't see anything. The end is also supposed to be pretty cool. Oh yeah, we got the purple skies, and this is nice. Apparently there's also an end storm. Okay, maybe I'm a moron and don't know what that means. Okay, I really don't know. Whoa. I don't really know what an end storm is. The lighting keeps changing, so maybe that's it. Anyways, that's enough bedrock for me. The end storms, this stuff's not for me if you couldn't tell. Did you know that leads are bigger now? If you play Bedrock Edition, you don't know what I'm talking about. But the thickness of leads has been changed in this update on Java. That's pretty much it. Or so you would think. With leads, you can now leash a mob to another mob. You can take a lead off of a fence like this. You are able to shear a lead off of a mob. And you can attach boats to ghasts to make cargo systems. Somehow people are making trains with this. This is where people are taking their engineering degrees in 2025. I want you to think about the craziest update in Minecraft ever. Something super game-changing that absolutely would never get added to the game. If you are thinking about a crafting recipe for saddles, you are insane. Mojang would never add that. Yeah, they did. You can craft saddles now, and I'm interested in why they didn't just do 5 leather like this. I feel like the universal saddle recipe in everyone's head was this. Why did they make it with only 3? Anyways, they also replaced saddles with 1 to 5 leather inside of treasure loot, which makes no sense. Honestly, why didn't they just keep the saddles? Just because it's craftable doesn't mean it shouldn't be in the chest. Crafting recipe isn't the only thing that got a new saddle though, as you can also now craft leads without the slime ball. This one goes hard, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know how to find slimes, is something somebody who doesn't know how to find slimes would say. That isn't me though. Very cool news. There is a new achievement for placing a creaking heart. It says I am a heart transplanter. I'm taking this thing to my local hospital and applying for a job right now. And if my local hospital was a player, I would be able to find it super easily with the new locator bar. Assuming the hospital isn't crouching obviously, because I would hide it on the locator bar. It also would be hidden by wearing a mob head and from wearing a carved pumpkin. If you don't want people finding the hospital with ease in your Minecraft server, you can just turn off the locator bar with this game rule. I think waypoints that aren't players also show up on this bar. I could be wrong though, and I probably didn't check if I am. Okay, this next update is big news. The play sound command no longer plays in every dimension. I don't know who needed to hear that, but there you go. Another sound update is this new music disc. It is ghast sounds made into music. The ghasts low-key went crazy on this. Another banger from Nether Records. Actually, it's an Overworld song because it's happy ghast sounds, I think. Is anyone else super annoyed by the fog? Okay, I can't really keep hating on the fog. Maybe we have to look at it from the fog's perspective, which we can now do with the new camera distance attribute. It's kind of like the Roblox camera where you can go super far out or super close. This is so strange. This should not be possible. I like the zoom out mode better. It's kind of like I'm watching a replay. There's a couple more new commands. There's the /waypoint command, which you can use to list waypoints in your world. You can also modify waypoints. Like right here, you can change the color, or you can change the style. I don't know what style is. What is a waypoint style? What did I just do? Another new command coming to the game that's actually kind of cool is the /dialogue command. You can use it to show custom UI menus to players. Right now, this is what we have in the game. There's custom options, quick actions, and server links. Obviously, you are meant to modify these yourself. Those are just examples. When you click the caution button, you get this message. And it even has a save and quit option if you somehow get trapped in an infinite dialogue scam. Mojang for saving people's information. People definitely won't still click the links anyways. Here are some extra happy ghast facts. When spawned, a ghastling will try to follow a player or an adult non-aquatic passive mob within a 16 block radius of it. A ghastling takes about 20 minutes to turn into a happy ghast if the process isn't sped up with snowballs. Happy ghasts cannot be bred and are only spawned through adding water to dry ghasts. Happy ghasts slowly regenerate health, and they regen faster during rain or when they are flying at the same height as clouds. There is a new achievement called Stay Hydrated for when a dried ghast is placed into water. Apparently the ghast has a new texture, so I've been looking at ghasts the whole video and I haven't noticed anything, but I'll try to find a ghast from an older version and put a side-by-side comparison. I thought this one was fake, but after seeing the old ghast, it is true. The new one is more HD to match the smile on the happy ghast. Can I attach a mob to a happy ghast? Okay, we'll attach the pig and... okay, never mind, the pig's not there. That doesn't work either. Okay, I finally got the pig to attach, so this one's true. The happy ghast is able to carry mobs. And just like in the Minecraft movie, you are able to do this with boats. It's just like how the ghasts carry piglins in the movie. So logically, I have to try attaching a boat to a regular ghast. Alright, let's bring it over to the ghast. Nah, you can't attach it to the ghast. I mean, if you count me as a ghast, it does work though. We've seen a happy ghast make multiple mobs fly, but can it make a player fly? Okay, I'm attached. Wait, I swear I just moved. I'm kind of getting pulled. Okay, so if I take my happy ghast all the way up here... okay, I'm up high. It should pull me now. Now it's just doing nothing, bro. I swear it worked. I don't know. I'm like 90% sure it worked. I'm gonna have to say that one was half true.